really building a team not for the reasons that most people build teams. Most people I see building teams to have the team members support the team leader.
For those of you that don't know, my guest today is Riley Smith. Riley Smith is a top producing agent with EWM, now Berkshire Hathaway, and runs the Riley Smith team or Riley Smith group. Originally started in the Coconut Grove area and has eventually spread its way out through Southeast Florida. And really, really excited to have him on board. Thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
And I love having you around because I think you and I are similar. We love doing this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any opportunity we can get to give some information out and really put ourselves in front of folks is a great opportunity. I'm going to be sharing this live on Facebook. So if you guys are out there and you're listening to it on Facebook, do us a big favor, hit a share on there. If you've got comments or questions, if you're on the Zoom, you can go ahead into the chat and put any questions in there. We may or may not stop in the middle of our conversation, but we will get to all the questions towards the end. And then we'll check Facebook as well. So if you're on Facebook, make sure that you're checking us out there so that way we can answer any questions you might have on there as well. So I'm going to be running the Facebook Live on my phone here so that way I can pay attention to the folks logging in and checking it out. So today we're going to cover a few great topics. We're going to start really easy and then we'll get into some of the more difficult questions. Which Riley will breeze right through, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about teams right now. You're one of the most prominent team leaders in South Florida, or maybe not the nation. And we've known each other for some time, so we've both seen each other grow and grow into who we are today. And I've always admired the way you run your team, the way that people love being on your team and like working with you and the camaraderie your team has and things of that nature. And so I'll start off with a couple easy questions. Like, first of all, what made you decide to want a team?
I think out of necessity, probably more than anything else. I've had a team now for quite some time. I had an assistant after my first year, and that was 16 years ago. We started back in the day when blogging was really popular, right? And so we were blogging all the time, and all of a sudden we were finding way more buyers than we could actually handle from the internet, which is new to us. And so we started off with one buyer's agent, two buyer's agents, and pretty quickly I learned that working with buyers was so time consuming, and it started getting so much more time on my plate by having buyer's agents on the team. So in the beginning it was sort of just having buyer's agents to handle some of our incoming leads. We ran all of our listings ourselves. And then over time, we just started growing and morphing into, really building a team, not for, the reasons that most people build teams. Most people I see building teams to have the team members support the team leader. And that was the case for the first couple of years. And then I really started to look at the whole model and sort of realized that there was a better opportunity, at least for me, to do what I enjoy, which is be more of a leader, a teacher, and a coach, and really create an environment where we build our team, we put the agent in the middle, and we put a team around the agent to help them grow.
Gotcha. And so if somebody's looking at this right now and they're saying, okay, Riley, you started out, just plain necessity, grew, and it was a requirement, but I want to build the team right now. What do you recommend to them? Like, and I noticed most importantly is that the first thing you said is after my first year, I had an assistant. And it seems to me that every single thing that I read about growth and teams and businesses and everything is that your first hire should always be that one support piece, which is the administrative assistant. Probably the backbone of your business now is, at some point. And then you went on to get buyer's agents. I see so many teams, right, that come on and they've got 17 buyer's agents and not enough business and no administrative personnel. What are some recommendations you would throw out to these folks?
I think it's pretty and one of the things I've been doing during this time is studying and reading and going, and I just read Gary Keller's, The Million Dollar Agent again, just to go back to basics. And if you follow that model, which, I followed by accident because I hadn't even read that book until, not that long ago, but you
Right.
really look at it as, that admin piece first takes off the time off your plate, then you get the buyer's agents. But, for me, you could have 20, 30 buyers agents, but if you're not supporting them, what's the point of it? And so for
Right.
me, it's not collecting agents just to say we have this large team. It's really, we built the infrastructure before we started adding the agents. I mean, we're up to almost 30 agents right now. They do buying and selling side. They do their own business and they do some of our business. But really, what we wanted to do was build the infrastructure first. So we built the marketing department that has 2 people. We have an agent concierge slash onboarder. We have a trainer. We have an ISA, and then we have a director of operations that oversees all of that. We really spent the last 2 years putting all those people in place and growing and developing their roles. And now we're at a place where we feel very confident when you come into our team as an agent, you're going to get support in every direction that you need, and allow you to go out there and run your own business.
So some folks would ask me, and let's start with this. How many members are on your team?
We are about 40 as of today total. About
And
30
that's
agents and
staff
about 10 staff. 10, if you count some of the ISAs, we're around 10 staff and about 30 agents.
Okay. Now, the biggest question to a lot of people out there is, what's an ISA? It's an inside sales associate. And so a lot of people are now thinking, okay, man, there's 40 people in your group, right?
Yeah.
Why are you not a brokerage?
I mean, you could probably answer that question better than I can, right?
I remember sitting on a panel with you for the Women's Council of Realtors, and somebody rose their hand and said, question for both of you, David and Riley, team or brokerage? And we both said team at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there as a broker owner.
Yeah, and the comment I always say is, there's a reason the word broker, right? Broke is in the word broker. So many people that I've known have struggled with that challenge. For me, one, I like to do what I'm good at, and I like to delegate what I'm not good at. And I know that it's a real distracting running an actual brokerage and worrying about the overhead. And I mean, you and I joked about this the other day, but you changed your model in the nick of time, right? Where you didn't have to stress about paying rent and turning the lights on and doing all these things that you had to worry about.
Right.
And so I just, I've always enjoyed being where I am at DWM. It's been a great family to me. They've been very supportive to me, and really, we have a very good arrangement there, and we get to use their physical spaces all over Miami without paying for them. So for me, the model just, I think I would get distracted, and I'd take my eye off what I really enjoy doing, which is really helping me.
Doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And all right, so the team, before we get into what's happening right now and everything else, what are, let's say, like top 2 mistakes you think you made over the last, what is it, 17, 18 years, in the view of team development?
The view of team development, the top mistake. I think probably we tried to run too fast. I think that's I'm a big dreamer and a big believer, and I think we definitely got started and we didn't really have all the systems in place, and we didn't have the wheels were almost coming off for a while. And then I think the other thing is really having the right leadership and direction and messaging and from everybody, making sure that all of the pieces that I built were really on the same page and aligned right with my thinking and our values and what we wanted to offer them. I think it took us a while to build the team members there. But I'm super excited about our staff right now. We have a great group of people that are just every day they wake up to go out to work to help our agents grow. But for me, I think I'm always at fault of trying to go too fast, and I'm always at fault of trying to go too big. And so probably me taming, myself down more than anything else. That would have been a wiser decision, So and learn the model before I started the model. Like I didn't really learn it; I just jumped into it, right? I went against my biggest saying, which is you work to learn before you work to earn, and I really didn't study the model. But in the beginning, I kind of just made it up as I went
tell
along.
people out there so much, like there's so much information out there now, more than 17, 18 years ago, right? More than I've been in the business 15 years, more than 15 years ago. There's so much information out there that you could turn on YouTube and watch 10 videos and have all the information you need on how to begin and effectively
Yeah.
run a team and time frames and production points and things of that nature. And I think, you know, all the real estate agents out there as independent contractors, you're running your own business.
Yeah.
When you start a team, now you're running like a larger business, right?
Yeah.
You're almost running, like, according to US stats, you're running a small business.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the thing is, going back to when we started, you know, we did it out of necessity. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a buyer's agent, really, to be honest with you. I just was like, I need help. Can you help me with this lead? And then that
Right.
grew. You know, a big mistake I made was you don't know what you don't know. So, you know, we live in an island down here in South Florida. And you know this because you've been exposed to Keller Williams and some of the other companies. Once I got out of here and I started going to conventions and going to see national things, these teams were built already. They were operating all over the country, and especially out of necessity because the price points were lower. They needed to do higher transactions, where we always lived in the volume world down here, right? Where we didn't have to do as many deals.
Right.
So once I got out of Miami and I started really, you know, expanding my horizons, it was real obvious that there was a real place here from a team in Miami. And if I could take our price point and our volume, but then bring in their transaction model, that
Right.
the sky would be the limit. And that's sort of what we have seen and tried to do.
And that's huge. I think you and I have talked about this before, where, you know, I mentioned to you that that was like an eye opener for me. Is I went to one of these conferences,
Yeah.
and you know, I stepped out of the bubble that we know as Miami, and you know, there might be some people watching that are in other states, and so it's a matter of stepping out of your city and seeing what's happening outside of your city. Because if you stick to your city, whether it be Miami or Manhattan or Los Angeles, that's all you're gonna know is the people directly around you there. And I remember having conversations with you know, at the time I thought I was a badass, right? I'm
Oh
doing,
yeah, me too.
10, $12 million a year. I'm like, what's up? You know? And I get over there and these guys are doing $10 million a day, you know? And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Wait, what are you talking about? You know? And to have somebody, I remember, you know, very clearly, and if I look up the gentleman's name, he was teaching a class on doing a listing presentation. So I said, let me check this out. And I sat in there, and really cool listing presentation. Somebody asked him his volume, and he went on to say something like 300 and something million dollars over the last 12 months. And that just blew my mind. And it made me want to come back to Miami and find out who in Miami is doing $300 million in business.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anyone.
No.
There wasn't
And
anyone.
certainly they weren't doing 300 transactions, 500 transactions. I mean,
no.
While the Jills or somebody would pop a couple big year, and you know, but the model, the consistent model that you're talking about, it didn't exist in Miami.
No. And I think that you're doing a fantastic job at it. So now let's get into, you know, right now folks are asking, okay, fine, I'll run a team, first hires an assistant. Like I've seen these classes a million times, but now you've got 10 staff members who are completely dependent on you and their lives depend on coming to work for you. And you've got 30 agents that look to you for leadership right now in a time that none of us could ever see coming. How are you pivoting or adjusting for what's happening today?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of people, you know, first of all, I mean, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to lead this group of people that I have, and you know, and to have them, you know, look at me as their leader, and you know, it's a responsibility that I take very seriously. But you know, I think being perfectly honest, just like most people, at first I put my head in the sand for a little while, and like, you know, just tried to ignore it or hope it went away. And then we shifted into defense, right? Okay, so now it's here for real. We don't know how long. How do we make sure we stay viable? How do I make sure I keep my people on the payroll, which we have managed to keep everybody on the payroll, and I'm very excited about that. You know, how do we start to, you know, just maintain status quo? So we did that for a while, and probably a little too long. But just recently, you know, I've been watching so many seminars, listening to what's happening all over the country, and you know, you see the light of the tunnel, you know, coming, I think. And so now we've kind of shifted into offense. And what I mean by that is, you know, let's take advantage of this opportunity to get better at our job and to actually start putting ourselves out there when we have opportunities to talk to people more. So what we've done now, and for me, is really I've started to interject a lot more energy back into the crowd. I'm feeling more confident. I think that, you know, my team is starting to feel more confident. You know, we just have to look at how we can control what we control. right? And so we've been spending a lot of time focusing on cleaning up our databases, making sure that we're touching all the right people, encouraging everybody. We can still have conversations, and we're having great conversations. Actually, people really want to talk right now.
Right.
So encouraging people to get ready, so that as Tom Ferry always says, when you fire the cannon when the doors are open. And webinars and all this stuff, it's a new way of life that we've embraced. And our marketing team has done great in helping people with the technology. We put on buyer seminars now. We're doing our virtual meetings. We just had a mastermind yesterday that was with 10 agents. That was fantastic. So now it's about encouraging everybody that this is going to pass. And I'm seeing some signs around the country that it's already opening up a little. And let's be ready when we all go back to work, and really take a lesson that I learned in the 2008, 9, 10 market. For me, when the crash came, after the shock of it all, we just sort of said, this is going to be an opportunity. A lot less people are going to advertise. A lot less people are just going to put their head in the sand for a while. We're going to go all in. And when people are running one way, we're going to go the other way. And really, that changed my whole career. 2008 to 9 and 10, we doubled each year after that. And we were just all in with everything and not holding back. And I think there's that opportunity now. I think there's going to be a flight to quality. People are going to want to list their homes with big names and people that they trust and understand, because this is uncertain times. And then know that, their sister, their brother, they're not going to be as capable as the big names that you hear out there of marketing the property properly and adjusting and understanding the market and having those conversations. So we've been really trying to get our team ready for that and really motivate. Our goal is to triple the number of listings that we have by the end of the year.
That's awesome. And I think that there's something to be said with that consistency. Like you said, you learned in the 2008, 2009, model. I did too. And I remember, meeting a top producing agent who was great before the crash, and great after the crash. And I remember asking her, what did you do different while, everybody else is working at Red Lobster or washing cars or cutting yards? Like, what are you doing? And she said to me, I'll never forget this. She said, I kept my face on every bus bench. And what she meant by that was that she stayed consistently in front of everybody, that she stayed marketing through the tough times, so that people knew that she was the go-to person because everyone else couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a natural tendency to pull back. I mean, it's human nature, right? To conserve. And we got caught doing a little bit of that, to be honest, in the beginning of this, just playing defense and taking a moment to assess it all. But,
Right.
once we realized that, we're going to get through this, now it's full speed ahead. And, and the beauty is that it's taught us different ways to market. Now we're following in your footsteps and doing so much more virtual marketing and videos and things that are also so much more scalable, so that when we come out of this, I think our reach and our breadth is going to be so much stronger. We're going to be able to
Right.
touch more people. I
Right.
still do my mailings, but, for the cost of a mailing, what you can do with that in the digital world is unbelievable. So
Yeah.
it's forcing us to learn some new things that I think really taking our, our experience and our ethics and our, all the things that we have, but now reaching a broader audience with these new platforms that we have.
And these new platforms that we're talking about, their Facebook, their video, their YouTube, their Instagram, whatever it takes to get in front of what everybody's doing. And I've coached my people. I've been like, guys, everybody's home and they're spending obscene amounts of time on social media right now. Why not stay in front of it, right? Now, when you coach your team, you've got 30 agents. Are you coaching them to do what you guys are doing when it comes to video and social and all that? Or is that something kind of the team takes charge of?
Both. I guess the answer is both. We're encouraging them a lot. A big part of what we do is, sort of having that accountability piece, hey, and motivating piece. So, I think a lot of it is following by example. We've had some people on our team that are really big into video stuff. And, when you have 30 people, you have 30 different businesses that are run 30 different ways. Right. And so each personality has to adapt. But we are dragging them kicking and screaming into this new age and this new era. And, we're going to get there and adapt it more and more, I think. We had a great first time home buyer, seminar on there. We had a regular buyer seminar. There were two people who, did a really good job in front of the camera. Me personally, I wasn't great in front of the camera, but now I'm putting out, 1 or 2 videos a week and gotten better at it. And I think by leading by example, I think that's how the team will follow. So, but we are coaching them and we are talking about it all the time,
Awesome. So now, obviously, transaction count is down, right? Business is down.
Yeah.
what do you feel the sentiment amongst your agents is right now?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think people were, a little, how do you say it? I mean, not depressed, but it certainly, for a while it was just we all lacked energy. Let's just put it that way. And we've always been
Okay.
a high energy crowd. And part of it is that we have a great culture when we're all together. And I think that separation kind of let everybody kind of just go into their, they kind of did a hole a little bit. So I think we're starting to bring everybody back together. We're getting the energy back. Like I said, I was on a call last night with 10 of my top agents on a mastermind, and we all left pumped up and charged up and really trying to, encourage each other and talk to each other. And that's when you have a value of a team, right? Real estate is really lonely, but during this time, it is really lonely.
Extra.
Extra lonely. And so, just having the groups come together and, we do in our team meetings and all this stuff, I think is motivating. And I've seen a lot of our team members just holding each other accountable, pushing each other, trying new things together. So that's sort of where we are there. But, I think it took everybody a little while to get over the shock of this. But now I think
right.
the realization is that we've got an opportunity in front of us. Now let's just get out there and do it.
What do you say to somebody who's listening to this going, man, I'm going to start a team right now?
I say be careful. Choose your people wisely. When you start hiring people, and this, and it's it's a pretty much a given in the real estate industry that we are the worst hirers in the world, right? We hire people out of oh, I need somebody today. You're available. Let's go, right? And I think so. I would take my time in understanding what direction you go, where you need help in, and first make sure you leverage every yourself to the max, and then start adding more pieces. And what I mean by that is, take some things off of your plate so that you can become the leader that you need to be. If you're not trying to become a great leader, I think your team is going to suck. And you can't be a great leader if you're trying to do everything. You've got to be able to leverage and not micromanage the business. And so it took me a while to understand that. And then I started putting all the pieces in place where I'm not looking at the books and running the operations anymore, right? I'm not doing all the trainings. I'm not doing have somebody and I'm just sort of overseeing that. And that's the role that I always wanted. And, I think where I can.
But that takes time to build, doesn't it? Like that's not from the jump,
No, I mean, listen, I think it takes 5 years to build a good team.
Right.
And I think by building a team, I mean, really putting the right pieces in place. I mean, what we have done is built an incredible platform for the agents, right? So many agents out there don't have the resources, and so many brokers don't have the money to give them those resources. So we started slowly but surely building platforms that we could offer to the team members. So, we have Boomtown as our CRM. We've got online stuff where they can do their marketing real quickly or their social media real quickly. We've got all kind of training videos online. So, and that's something you can do right away. That doesn't cost you a lot, is set up your infrastructure first and then add in your pieces. Don't just get 5 agents. And, when teams started becoming popular, this was the thing. You would see a person pop up one day and have 1 agent, and next thing you know, they'd have 8 agents and call themselves a team because everybody thought that was the key. But it's only going to work for a few people, and you have to have the idea. In my mind, is that your job is to make everybody else better. Their job is not to make you better. If you don't have that mentality, I don't think you can build a big successful team.
That's great comments, because I think that's something that we see all the time, and we like the 1, 2, 3 team and the ABC team and the XYZ team, and you see it and you look at their pictures and there's 15 of them and they're but the insides, there's no structure, there's no systems, there's no motivation, and the team leaders are not spending significant time building their team. I've seen some teams where they just lead gen, and they call that a team. Like, hey, I'm giving you leads, you're a part of my team. And I think that there's a lot that goes involved in this. Everything to team contracts. Like, as somebody joins your team, they sign a contract with you.
Absolutely.
And there's an abundant amount of leadership. And if you don't feel like you're ready, I think, read some books, right? Like,
the leadership is key. That's what people are looking for when they come on your team. They're most likely looking for you to help guide them in their career. I'm not trying to find people that are just coming here to get leads. That's not what we're about. Right? We want to be a place where you could come and say, these guys have all the tools, they have the resources, they have the experience, and they have the trainers and the people that need to help me build my business. So our
Right.
team is set up to help everybody build their business. And I think, like you said, if you're one leader and you have 20 people, you're not going to touch them all properly. So we break it up. Every 10 people, we have a leader that talks to those 10 people, and it's leveled in terms of your production, right? So when you come in, you start here and you're in that group. As you grow up into the next. And I think that's super important so that people on your team feel connected and they feel like
Right.
you're adding value, right?
Right.
You have to
Right.
add value. You can't just add leads. That's not enough.
Yeah, that's not enough. It's so much more than that. Um, I do want to. So somebody just commented, and before I get into the next piece,
Sure.
can you speak to the roles that you have for your team members and how you assess which roles would best fit them to fill?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I'll start at the top. So Carl, who you know well, he's my director of operations, and he's my right hand man. And I think it's very important to find a right hand man or woman to be there to really counterbalance you, right? I mean, he is great at all of the little
Critical.
details, all the numbers. A former banker, pays attention to that side where I am not that guy. I'm the sales guy, I'm the talker, and I'm not a detail guy. I'm a big picture guy. So having that balance, I think, is super important. And since Carl's come in, he's really given us structure and all the organization and how to hire and manage that. I think so. His role was the first. I'd always had assistants, but that was the first. That was the beginning of building a big team. Was having a right hand person that can really counterbalance you, take off all of the little details, and do the things he does really well that I do really badly. So the two of us, I think, work really well from there. So then from there, working our way down, if you're going to build a team, it's important to have somebody to help you build the team, find team members, right? And so we have a recruiter slash agent concierge, person who's Michelle. I think you probably met Michelle before.
Hmm.
And her role and her job is to help us find new agents, of course, and then help us coach them up. And she's done a really great job of that. So she's one of our accountability people. She runs about 10, 11 agents at any time, making sure that, they're, and then she's also part of onboarding them into our process and our systems, right? We, just like joining a brokerage, we have systems and processes in place to, how things work. So she's been really helpful there. Then we have Raul, who runs our ISA division, which I see the question there. What is an ISA? So an ISA is an inbound salesperson, basically. So we do a lot of internet, lead gen. And so we have people that call all of our internet leads and track them down and then try to set appointments. So Raul's got two jobs with us. One is to run that team for us, which is our lead gen part. And then his other job is to run a lot of trainings. He's just fantastic on the phones, and he's a very structured guy. And so he's been really, really helpful in teaching people, showing them how to be confident when you're on the phone, what to say, when to say, and showing them how to run their boom towns and really keep track of them. And we have 120,000 people in our database. So
Right.
really managing that role, that's his job. That's a big job for us. And then we have Mitchell and my wife Kelly, who do the marketing, which I think is really important. We're big on marketing, and now as we switch into the digital, marketing, we're really going to have to ramp that up more. And then lastly, the glue that holds everybody together is Rosie on our team, who is our transaction coordinator slash mother hen, taking care of everybody. I think the wheels would come off the bus if Rosie wasn't here right now. So you need that strong transaction coordinator. I mean, we're gonna do how we do this. Last year, if you include rentals, we did 335 transactions. So
She managed all
having
335
managed
transactions.
all of that. So that's a lot of paperwork and a lot of. So you need somebody who's just a go-getter, get it done in that role.
Soon you're gonna have to clone her.
So we've got a great team in place right now.
So let's talk about, that's the staff side of it. Let's talk about the realtors. So me, David Kurz, I come over to the Riley Smith Group and I say, hey, Riley, I would love to be a part of your team. I go through the interview process.
Yep.
And then how do you decide where I fit in? Like, am I one of your listing agents? Am I your buyer's agent? Am I an open house agent? Am I one of your lead receivers, kind of sort of say, where I'm receiving leads from you consistently? Or am I the phone guy? Like, what is my role and how do you decide that?
Ideally, your role is all of those things, right? In an ideal world, when you come in, everyone, we've got all levels of experience and all walks of life that we've got on the team. First and foremost, we start with, we want good quality people. That is, we surround ourselves with good people first. I think we can
Right.
help make people good agents, but you can't help make people good people, right? So
Right.
first and foremost, we're looking for good people who really want to be a part of a culture and a family. After that, it depends on your level. If you're new, certainly you're not going to walk in and we're going to hand you $1 million lead, right?
Right. Right.
There's a process. So we have an onboarding process. It takes about 2 weeks where you learn all of our systems, our platforms. You get the training, and then really in the beginning, we're just helping you learn how to work your sphere, or if you want to call Aspires a FISBO, show you how to do that. And once you start to build your skill set, then yes, eventually there will be opportunities for you to get leads. And especially as we expand in Miami, we have teams now and people in all different areas that are working
Right.
opportunities for us. We have other people who come on and want to learn how to build a team. So, we're trying to build a team inside of our team right now. We have Anna Kwan and her 2 sons are working for her, and she's trying to figure out how to structure that and how to leverage there. So it's a little bit of everything. We don't just bring in buyer's agents or listing agents. We bring in people that we want to elevate. So, or who want to be elevated.
Right. And I want everybody to hear something that you just said. You said build a team within a team, because right now the concept is I can build a team within a brokerage.
Right.
But the truth is that you can build a team within a team. You can also expand your team to wherever the heck you want, as long as you've got structure in place.
Yeah.
So, Riley, do you ever intend to expand out of the, let's say, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area?
Yeah, I mean, I see, we have big goals here. I mean, we want to get to 1,000 transactions here by 2025. And I think to do that, you've got to be pretty much South Florida everywhere. So, we've already fired some shots, out there and tested. We tried going into Naples. We weren't quite ready for that yet. But right now we're hitting Upper Keys all the way to probably the top of Palm Beach, not Palm Beach, Broward. We haven't done much in Palm Beach yet, but I envision having teams within our teams covering areas. And I think that's how we can grow. I envision having 100 agents probably in the next couple of years. But they'll have to all sort of start to get, we'll start to build team models in areas. So we'll have a Kendall team, right? We'll have a Doral team. We'll have a Pembroke Pines team. That's how I see the future growing, where you'll have team leaders or, groups of team leaders in these other cities that'll, as we bring people on, help us train them, hold them accountable, grow in that area. But always come back to the mothership, always come back to the infrastructure that we have here.
Nice. All right, so moving into the next piece, and I'm glad everybody's getting some good information. Number one, how to really begin a team and why you even should, besides the, what most people do it for, the glory in the name, right? Like, I want to look cool in photos. But you build a team, you build a business for leverage. At the end of the day, you're building leverage. And if you want to grow, you can't do it alone. It's impossible. You can't, there's no one in the world that can do 1,000 transactions by themselves. And there are, by the way, I've met single agents around the country that have done 400 or 500 transactions.
Yeah.
Single agents, but they have a massive, massive staff. So this is not like, trust me when I tell you that they are going out, meeting clients, and mostly listings when you look at those agents.
Yep.
and they have assistants that go show properties. They have assistants
and they don't show it.
paperwork. No. Yeah, and a lot of it is just, it's crazy. And there's different ways to do it, but you do it to leverage yourself. You do it to build bigger and to bring people up with you, which I believe.
That's the whole goal for us, right? When I started the team concept, really, yes, in the very beginning, it was out of necessity because we had too many buyer leads at the time. But as I really built this new team model that we have for the last 5 or 6 years, first of all, it's an exit strategy for me personally. It's a business decision. I'm going to spend 20, 30 years doing this. And like most realtors, I'm just going to close the door one day and that's it. It doesn't make sense to me, right? So the idea behind it was to build something that is leverage that could continue. It would be a residual income, or we would have the possibility of selling it at some point in time. Or, if the stars align right, my kids grew up and they could take over the business.
Right.
And so that was the catalyst behind it, is how could I create a business that would last after I got out of the business. That was step one. And then step two was, how could I build a business big enough to really help all of the people, all the people that work for me and all the people that are on the team elevate themselves. And so that was
And
our goal.
that's such a bigger part too, because you want to make sure when somebody comes on your team, they're absolutely trusting you to help them grow, to teach them the way, to help them put money in their pocket at the end of the day, right? Because they decided to join the team looking for support and growth. So they're like looking for that massive support in education, training, and backup. But they're also looking to say, hey, Riley, man, I gotta make some money, dude, and I'm not doing it alone. So I'm gonna come work with you. And honestly, man, I think, if anyone out there's listening and you decide to join a team, like, you need to go in with the mentality of, dude, I'll get your coffee if you want me to, right? Because that's the truth, especially if you're joining a good team. Like, if I go and I join the Riley Smith group, I'm like, dude, what are you taking your coffee? You need your shoes shined? What's up? You know what I mean? Like, because if I'm a new agent and I'm looking at the agents on your group, I'm thinking, this could be me. So I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do. Like, if I got to work 13 hours a day doing it, or 20 hours a day doing it, I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do, because I want to build a team within the team one day.
And that's,
right?
The challenge and what I love about the group that we have is that nobody is satisfied where we are. I mean, as a whole, we all want more. And as your leader, you really do need the people under you to have the vision to push you, so you don't get complacent in where you are. I built a good team, but I always say the enemy of great is good. Like, we've been good for a while, so my team is pushing me to become great, pushing me to be bigger, so that they have the opportunities that they want. Whether it's the people that work for me, and I envision the people that work for me to be working with me forever, and to grow into different roles and have different opportunities. So as we leverage this business, so that's the beauty of what we're doing, and the fun part of it is really the challenge of growing big enough to fulfill everybody else's dreams inside of your bubble.
Awesome, man. All right, so 2 major shifts that you guys are doing right now. I know we talked about the marketing stuff, but 2 major shifts that you're pushing on your agents right now that you're educating them to do. Is it stay on the phones? Is it like, I'll give you an example. On my team, not only did we double down on the marketing and exposure, but more importantly, we're spending a set amount of time per day in relationship and communication. Right? So what are you really pushing on your team to ensure that you come out of the other side of this whole?
Yeah. Before I jump in that, I just want to wrap up the last part. There was something that I forgot to say. And one of the questions you had asked me about was back in the beginning, building the team. The way I see you building a team is you build your team out of necessity, right? What are the things that you don't do well, or you don't have time to do, the holes or the gaps, right? You get that person that takes away from you those roles. Then you get the person that takes away the things that you don't like to do or that you're not very good at. Once you do that, the freedom is, you don't have the luxury of that in the beginning, right? You still got to do that stuff. First, you have to get the person to do the things, and that's usually the transaction coordinator, the detailed person that's going to help you build your business. Then you get the person that comes on that is really you can delegate the things you don't like to do. So now as a team leader, you're doing exactly what you like to do. That's when you can really put your foot on the gas. I love going and taking listings. I love the training and coaching. I love the recruiting part of this business now. So those are that's what I'm doing. And my team has allowed me to fly in that capacity, delegating those things to them. So if you're listening on how to start a team, first delegate all the little details, things that take all your time that you're not very good at, because we're salespeople, right? So we're not good at paperwork. We all know that, right? And so delegate that. And then when you get to the point, and this is where you take off, is when you can delegate stuff you don't like to do and you don't really want to do. So, once I did that, that's when the team grew. Anyway,
and I'll tell you and this is good information, because I think that folks out there also need to hear it, because we have a lot of newer agents on here. Even if you're a new agent, you can do the transaction coordinator, because they'll charge you per transaction only if it closes. So, right. So if you're a brand new agent, there's no reason for you to get endowed in paperwork and timelines and everything else. Just hire somebody who's going to charge you at the end The prices range. They're anywhere between 250 and 400 a transaction.
Yep.
And just pay the fee when you close from your commission. It's
Or go
worth it. And if
virtual
it
and use a
doesn't
virtual
flow,
assistant, right? You can use a virtual assistant. You could share an assistant with other people, but the faster
right.
you can move to having a transaction process, the better you're going to be. So
And then a lot of folks ask me and say, "Hey, Dave, you're always telling us to hire an assistant. That'll help us grow." And statistically, when you hire the right assistant, hear me out now. When you hire the right assistant, your
yeah,
business should grow by 100%. Believe it or not, your business should grow by 100%. And the reason for that is, I always tell folks, I need you to get a piece of paper. I need you to put a line down the middle, and on the top, you're going to write love to do and hate to do. And you're going to write down everything you love to do in your business and everything you hate to do in your business. And everything you hate to do is now your assistant's like job. So that's what you're going to put out when you do that job ad, wherever you place it.
yeah,
This is what I'm looking for. Someone who will do the following things, because those are the things that you don't like to do, which in turn make it a longer, harsher task.
yeah,
And you're just wasting time when you could be doubling down on your business by doing the things you're great at and you love to do. I remember
yeah.
somebody told, I always heard all my life, you got to work on the things you're not great at. And then one day I heard, forget about the things that you're not great at, hire somebody to do the things you're
Yeah.
not great at, and
Yep.
double down and become fantastic or amazing or superb at the things you're good at, right?
Yep. You're 100% right. And when I hired my assistant, who is still with me today, is actually my mother-in-law. So it's been a long ride. That's a story for another day. But my business did double the first year she was with us, first full year. And the reason why is you get back time, you get back energy, right? Because when you're doing those things, you get negative energy, right? So you get back positive energy. And then lastly, you have now a person who's depending on you, and a person who's sitting there, and you feel like if you're not doing the right things and building this thing, then they're wasting their time and you're wasting your money paying them. So you actually
Right.
gain a motivational piece too. They motivate you just by being there. Right? You got to pay them every week. You got to keep them busy, and so all of those things basically give you more opportunity to go out and be you, which is go find a business.
I've told folks, man, there is no stronger motivation than having to pay somebody a salary. There's no stronger motivation knowing that you are responsible for putting food on that person's table.
And that has never been truer than today, my friend.
Oh my gosh, man. And it's so intense, so intense.
It is.
All right.
All right, so let's get into what we're doing now, right? So the
Yeah.
two things that we really are focusing on now is, we are focusing on realizing technology is the answer. And we've always been okay at it, but now we're really going to focus on getting good at it, right? So that's and that's from everything from our meetings. I'm just announcing I'm going to be doing my Grove, real estate talk virtually, and we're realizing, the scalability of this thing, which you've already realized before us, and we really never caught on to it. We kept doing things a little more old school. So we really have looked at how can we use technology in any different way. And, we used to make buyers come to the office for buyer consultation. All of a sudden, we're doing buyers consultations just like this. And it's so much more efficient, so much faster, so much easier. And you don't give them the opportunity to think about, do I really want to get in a car, drive over there and meet these people? Versus, my team could set up a buyer's appointment, my ISA, and say, hey, in 5 minutes, can you jump on a Zoom call with an agent and introduce themselves and let them talk to you about the process? And so we're using this technology to connect to people so much faster and to so many more people. So that's the first thing that we're doing. The second thing we're doing is we've sort of changed our scoreboard. We're big on tracking everything, and for a while it's been based on transactions and all that. But what we're now looking at is really we need to be keeping score on how many new people we touch through Facebook, through social media, how many more video people going into our YouTube channels, right? How many more people can we get into our sphere? We always big on the database. Now we need to be big on the followers, right? Get the followers. And then the last piece is trying to understand. It's great to pat yourself on the back and say, I have 1,000 followers and I have all this. If you're not figuring out how to monetize that, and you're not figuring out how to track it and how to systematically approach capturing those people, then all of that face forward stuff is useless, right?
Yep.
You have to have the back end and the system and the discipline to figure out, how do I connect on those 1,000 people, and don't just be happy when they like my stuff, right? How do I build relationships and move them into our real estate family, right? So we're really, really focusing on figuring that out right now.
Man, these are some great tips, man, because I think a lot of people out here may have, abundant amount of followers and they have no idea how to monetize on that. They
No.
have no idea how to communicate with people. And more importantly, a lot of folks are afraid to reach out to people because they just don't want the rejection.
Right.
And I'm here
You,
to tell you, rejection's real. It's going to happen no matter what. Brush it off, keep moving. If you send them a message about business and they unfollow you, there's a really good chance they were never going to do business with you anyway. So why are they following? Just
yeah.
let it
So
go and keep going to the next person, right?
but you've got to build a system. I'm a huge believer in building systems in your business so that you can track where your business came from, how you got your business, what's your ROI on anything that you do, right? Because doing these videos, there's a cost, and the cost is your time. So if you're not somehow monetizing that, and you don't really know if you are or not, if you don't build the right systems in place to follow up with, if you get an email, are you emailing them 15 times? Are you calling them 10 times? Are you texting 5 times until you capture them? If someone likes you, are you really figuring out a system on to take them from Facebook and from all of the platforms into your sphere? And
Right.
that's a challenge. It's a challenge, and you have to be careful that you don't get so excited by growing the numbers. You have to grow the numbers with the idea of a percentage of those numbers have to come in and become our clients at some point in time.
Right. How do I turn those numbers into clients? And how do I turn or even conversations? How do I
Yeah,
turn those
yeah.
numbers
You
into
turn them first into
conversations?
conversations, and then
Yeah.
conversations to appointments, and then appointments to contracts. Right? I mean,
Right.
there is a mathematical process.
Remember, they're not a client until they're a contract. So
Right.
let's know the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, I, two more little small things we're going to touch on. First thing is somebody posted, I would love to hear some book recommendations from you guys in as to team building in real estate, please. So I know that you mentioned earlier the $1 Million Listing Agent
I mean,
with
it's the
Gary
first
Keller.
book
I
you
think,
should read. Right.
yeah, I think it's really the first book you should read. It's honestly, it's been known as like the Bible of real estate.
Right.
It's a great book, and it really does just dial down on everything every other book says. Like
Yes.
really, and
It,
is it a little bit outdated when it comes to tech and stuff like that? Of course, it was written a long
yes.
time ago, but the basis and the foundation of business
Yes.
development is still the same no matter what.
And
I
yeah,
think,
the building blocks are there. The step by
right,
step it outlines it. I mean, I literally just reread it again. I probably read it 5 times. But our team just talked about it literally yesterday. If you read that book, you're going to take away 3 things. There's the 3 L's in business, in real estate, right? You have leads. If you don't have leads, you can be the best real estate agent in the world. It doesn't matter. You need leads, you need listings, and you need leverage, right? We've been talking a lot about leverage already today. Listings, we all know you list the last, and that's the key to this business because you can leverage your listing. And then, of course, just lead generation. Those 3 things, that book does a great job of outlining and making.
right,
That's the focus of everything that you do when you start out as a new agent, even as you're starting out as a team. And even now, we are doing that again. We're reintroducing that whole concept to my team right now. What's the one thing you can do in each of those categories? Because that is the pillars of our business right there.
right. And then I think another great book, and I hate to stay with the same author, but
Oh,
Shift. And
yeah,
right now, the book Shift was written during the crisis of 2007, 8, 9, and 10, and it was designed to teach real estate agents how to shift their business to what's happening now, because real estate is always moving. It's just a matter of, are you going to stay in the same line, or are you going to shift into what the new stuff is? And then you gave me a book. I want to put it out there, Elevate.
oh, I love that
Um,
book.
right, which I haven't read yet, but I'm on my way. I'm in the process of reading Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, and then my kids and we're doing Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
There you go.
So,
So, I mean, the person who asked about the book, I mean, I think one of my things I put out there in the world this year was I was going to read a book a week. And right now I'm on track to do that. And that's the thing. You can never get enough education. You can never get enough new ideas. You never learn enough. The big challenge is though, not just saying I read 52 books. Can you say I implemented 52 new things into your business or your life? Right? Because we get stuck on listening to all these webinars and listening to all these. I mean, I'm watching more stuff than I've ever watched online, and I have to remind myself I need to take something away from this to make this
right,
hour worth my time and implement it in my business. So when you're reading these books, make sure you understand I need to take something out of it and I need to implement it or change something in my business. That's important.
1,000%. I'm glad that you said that. And I know folks are out there saying, wow, a book a week, I can't do that. Well, that's fine. Listen to a book a week.
That's what, yeah,
You
I
know,
listen to one in my car. I listen to one on Audibles. I read one at home. I have 3 or 4 books
yeah.
going at any time. And it's really opened my eyes to a whole new way of thinking, just even in the first 3 months of this year. And just all different
And
kinds
YouTube, guys, YouTube is such a fantastic source of information.
yeah.
I mean, everything you mentioned Tom Ferry earlier. I listen to Tom Ferry about, I would say 4 out of 7 mornings that I
Yeah.
wake up. I
Yeah.
have one of his new videos up from YouTube. So just and always really great information. And you might be hearing something that you're already doing, but it's a reassurance or
Yep.
you know a recognition of alignment in that fact that you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Corey Allen wrote, hold on. This is pretty technical and granular. Speaking of databases, sphere of influence, and basically Boomtown or your CRM, do you know of any software or apps that you can convert your contacts from your phone, Facebook, etc., to CSV Excel phone? Yes, okay, I can help you with that. There's an app called
I cannot.
There's an app called SA Contacts, Sam Alpha Contacts. With SA Contacts, you can download all the contacts from your cell phone into an Excel spreadsheet. And what I coach our agents to do is take that Excel spreadsheet and go through it and update it in its completeness. Delete people who you don't want on there. People that don't need to be contacted by you, like Best Buy or something like that, right? And then for the folks that don't have an email address, add an email address. For the folks that don't have a number, figure out a phone number for them and really update it. And then take that entire list and update it and put it up into your CRM with a flag or a tag or however your CRM works that says cell phone. Like very simple, and that way, you could send all those folks a welcome letter. You could start texting them. You could do all kinds of stuff from your platforms and CRMs. From Facebook, there are some apps, there are some things out there that will do it, but Facebook constantly blocks them out. So what I have found a lot of people do, and I did it once, is I hired somebody on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, Fiverr, I think. But if you go to Fiverr.com, you can hire somebody to scrub all the information from your Facebook. Yes, you're going to have to give them your username and password. So know that, change the password to something simple that they can use for the time that they're working, then change it back to something different when they're out. But they can go in there and they can scrub all the information and transfer it to an Excel spreadsheet. Might cost you couple $100 depending on how many people you have on there, but it would be worth to have all those folks' emails and phone numbers scrubbed out and able to put into a contact system like a CRM or even an email database system, right? And for a lot of folks out there that are saying, I can't afford a CRM, there's so many cheap ways to go about this. Miami Association offers some free ones. MailChimp is free up to 2,000 people. There's a, forgot the name of it. There's a CRM out there. I forgot the name of it right now, but it's $25 a month.
If you can't afford a CRM, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, you really need to get out there. Carl put HubSpot is free and it's great. Like there's just so many different options out there. Man, I can't think of that CRM that's $25 a month. It's like Fire something, or I can't remember, but you guys can look it up, real estate CRM for $25 a month and it'll come up. But that's a CRM that for $25 a month, you can email from, text from, set reminders. Sammy put it up there, Line Desk is $25 a month. Like there's just so many things you do. And maybe one day you grow out of Line Desk and get a Boomtown or a Sync or a Chime or something. I use Chime, you guys use Boomtown, right?
Right, yep.
So let's get into that. Systems that you guys use for your team to stay effective. What are they?
The lifeblood of our team is Boomtown. That is the absolute lifeblood. Every day the agent should be opening up their computer and their whole business is right in front of them. Who to contact, who's been on the website, so we're a huge believer in Boomtown. We run our CRM through there. We also run all of our paid ads through there. It's also where our ISAs do all of their work, just because it's so versatile and it's real time. The beauty of that is that you get to see people who are on your site at that moment, right? That's the beauty of that, and then be able to, attack them right away. So Boomtown is our main platform. We have built out our own RSG resource page. So we have our own back-end site where we host all of our trainings, our calendars, all kinds of information that you want to know, anything you need to learn there. And then, we have several different platforms for marketing. So we have a marketing platform that we built ourselves for, if you want to plug and place any kind of mailers or flyers or email blasts, you can do that. And then we have a social media platform as well, where you can take content with our stuff, and we keep it structured, so we have that as well. So we really figured out, I think, a way to give all the tools to the agents, so that when you're on our team, you have no real expenses. And the goal is to cut your expenses down and to cut your time down on, oh, I need to send a postcard out. It's literally go on our site, click, 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 and there it goes. Or I need to send a post out, click, 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 there it goes. And everything we do and everything we give the agents is to give them the opportunity to have more time to go out and build their business.
That's fantastic, man. All right, last question. I've been asking this question a couple weeks now. Simple question. First half of the question is, how do you intend to begin getting back to work, person to person, and how soon do you see that happening? And then second part of the question is, if this was your city, your state, how would you open the city or the state back up to get people back to work?
Sure. A couple thoughts on that, and we talked about this in our mastermind yesterday. So, first of all, I think we are in real estate, from what I've seen already in other places and what I've been hearing, and like if you're listening to Tom Ferry, he's talking to agents all over the country. It's starting to open up faster than a lot of other industries. I think we're going to be in a better position. Certainly, I wouldn't want to be a restaurant, a movie theater owner, a sports franchise, but already people are going into grocery stores on a daily basis, right? So walking into a house is a lot less scary than walking into a grocery store. So I think, what I told my agents is, we're not going to have the trouble getting the people back in again. That's not going to be our challenge coming forward. Our challenge is going to be the price conversation. What is going to happen? How long is this going to last? What are the values going to look like? So I told my team yesterday, you need to get good at 3 conversations, and you need to have these conversations off the top of your head, because these are questions you're going to get asked every second when people understand that you're in real estate. First question is what you said. What is the market going to look like, right? The answer is, we have no idea. I can't predict the answer, right? So you need to have a way of telling them, none of us have a crystal ball, but I can tell you what is happening now, and and lead with facts, right? And talk about your marketplace. In my marketplace, X, Y, and Z is happening, so that makes me encouraged that we'll be okay, but I have no crystal ball, right? So you need an answer better than I don't know. So I think work on an answer that fits your personality, but know that question is coming. That's the second question after pricing is, how long and when do you think this is going to take? And that's the same question basically with pricing, and when are we going to get back to business? And the third question, the question I'm getting on my sellers is, where are the buyers going to be coming from now? Who are the buyers that are going to be buying during this time? And I think knowing those questions, and then the last one I just heard yesterday was, you really need to understand the mortgage piece too, because there is a lot of challenges going on in the mortgage world right now.
Right.
So so if you understand how to talk about what's going to happen in the future, whether it's pricing and how much people are going to coming and going, if you can be able to talk about the mortgage piece, I think that you're going to sound really educated. So anyway, that's getting us going. I do see us returning pretty quickly. We just had our EWM morning meeting, the company right before you, and transactions are happening. More people are going out, so we're opening up a little bit faster, I think, than some other places probably will. The challenge we're going to have is that we are a destination place. So there's a million New Yorkers who would love to own a piece of property in Miami right now, but there's a million New Yorkers who are not getting on an airplane right now to come down here and see us. Right. So our challenge is we're going to have to shift into some more local clientele for a while, I think, before we start to get all these foreigners coming back in, but whether they're out of the country or.
And it doesn't mean that you get away from the relationship building and conversations with the foreigners as well, because I think when this market opens back up, and I had this conversation with Alicia Cervera, and the conversation kind of went along the lines of, when this opens back up, you've got folks that are in Manhattan right now, sitting in a 500-600 square foot apartment, and they're they're pissed that they didn't make the move and pull the trigger on buying a property in Miami, because this is where they could have done their quarantine, right? And so for folks in Miami like you and I, that we go out backyard, or we're looking, some folks are sitting in their balconies looking at the city or the ocean or the bay. That's not the case for a lot of New Yorkers. A lot of New Yorkers open their window and see a brick building right next to them. And so, when you have that, I think when the market opens back up, there will be a big influx. And I've already heard of folks from the Northeast purchasing sight unseen. That's no longer a lowball investment.
We did one, a guy from New York with a video. Our last contract we put on a contract was a $700,000 condo that he wanted down here in Miami, all done virtually. Never saw the place.
Yeah.
So
never saw the place, and he's not an investor, and he didn't lowball the property, I bet.
No.
So keep those conversations going for sure.
Yeah, and also don't forget, there's going to be a lot of people. Single family market, I think, is going to be strong. I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying, listen, I've just been in a 2-bedroom condo with my 2 kids for 7 weeks. I can't do this anymore. I need a yard. I need a house. Or I don't want to ride an elevator in a 30-story building with anybody else, or my building is on lockdown, and so I think people are going to reevaluate what product they want. And
I think the one of the biggest comments that I heard yesterday in an interview that we did was, it was said, this pandemic or this issue that we're facing right now was not created by real estate. This is the biggest difference between now and 2008, right? Yeah. So because it wasn't created by real estate, it's a health issue, it's a people issue, it's a humanity issue. When we step out of that, real estate's in the game again. And I think, everyone needs to be looking at the numbers every day, all the time, and seeing it, because we get folks all the time that saying, well, how are the prices dropping? Well, why would the prices be dropping? Right? Is a question. Why would the prices be dropping? So yes, transaction count is down, but if you notice, prices haven't really dropped.
No, they have not.
I believe that this is going to be one of those things where it really depends on how long this lasts.
Yeah, and it's going to take a little while for our transaction count to go up. Don't forget, 70% of our listings on the MLS are condos. All right, and so how many condo buildings are going to open, and when are they going to open? Right. A single family owner, they get to decide their own fate. But if you have a condo and you want to sell it, and your building says, sorry, nobody can come in for 2 months, so it's going to be interesting to see. But I think once that happens, we'll definitely see more transactions.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks for doing this with me. We've hit an hour already, so I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I really appreciate you doing this with me. I'm probably going to pull you back in for a couple other things, and have Carl reach out to me and remind me. I'm going to shoot you two different programs that will help you out, especially with the virtual conference that you're planning.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So,
I will.
Yeah. So we're thinking about taking the Real Talk conference and making it virtual. And I was introduced to a really, really cool seminar style online platform. It's not Zoom, but it works like a million times better.
Okay.
So I'll shoot that over to you and connect you with the guys so that he can do a presentation.
That'd be great. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, we do this every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Make sure you're tuning in. Stay in touch. Sometimes we have pop-up events and things that happen. So in those cases, please send a text message to 33222 with the word enterprise and the number 1. So enterprise 1 to 33222. And what we will do is continue to update you on fantastic conversations like this and future events that we might actually have in person one day, right? So thanks a lot, man. I always love talking to you. I appreciate you. I really look up to everything that you've done in the business, and it's really great to be able to have the relationship and the conversations that we do, man. So thanks so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, my friend. Keep up the good work.
Sir. All right.